1. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name is Otis Landerholm, and today we're talking about the Biden Parole in Place program for spouses of U.S. citizens, all right, which they are calling the Parole in Place for certain non-citizen spouses and stepchildren of U.S. citizens, all right? So welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. As always, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration law and to make the most out of their lives. All right, my name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Been practicing immigration law now for 13 years. I'm a certified specialist by the Supreme Court of California. I'm certified as a specialist in immigration law. I love immigration law, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I hate the law, but I love immigrants. I hate the law, but I love to use it to help our clients, all right? So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to our episode today. Today we are talking about the Biden administration's Parole in Place program for spouses of U.S. citizens, and children of the spouses of U.S. citizens can be included in this also, all right? So my question, as always, for you is, hey, do you want to get a green card this year? Do you want to apply for something this year? Do you want to at least see what your options are this year? Perhaps apply for citizenship this year? Is this year your year? Because if so, it's August, all right? I'm filming this. It's August 6th, ladies and gentlemen, of 2024. And if this year is your year to do something about your immigration situation, it's like, go for it. Time's ticking, all right? And I'd love to help you with that. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases by 2035. We would love for your case to be one of them. As I'm talking about this new Parole in Place program, if you have questions, please submit them. You know, I'd love to answer any questions that we get, time permitting. And so I'm going to jump right in. So there's news, there's always news happening right now in the world of immigration law. This morning, Kamala Harris has confirmed her pick for Vice President. Tim Walz of Minnesota, governor of the state of Minnesota, is going to be her pick for Vice President. So, what will that mean for immigration, et cetera? We'll see and explore that as we learn more about what their combined platform on immigration becomes in the upcoming weeks that we have here before the November election. There's other things happening. I don't know if you saw it in the news, but the Biden administration has paused. On Friday of last week, they announced this. They have paused the parole program that has been happening for 4 countries, for Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela, all right? And so those parole programs, we've been doing these cases, this year. Right now they are paused. They've found there to be potential fraud, potential problems, not from the immigrant side, but from the United States sponsors of the immigrants. And so they've temporarily paused that parole process, which is an important thing to be aware of when we're talking about this parole process, parole in place, because we don't have regulations released yet. And so we're all watching, right? The Biden administration has said, if you remember, that they would release regulations for this new Parole in Place program. They still have not done that. I'm recording this on the 6th of August. However, they're still saying that they'll be accepting applications on the 19th of August, which is now 13 days from today, all right? But they've got to publish regulations first. Otherwise, we don't even know where to send the requests, what forms to fill out, etc. Like, We can't do anything without clarity from the government first on what the filing fee is, what the process is, where to send these cases, they'll just reject them unless we receive from them the regulations on where and how to file. Okay? Nevertheless, we're moving forward because according to the government, they will be accepting applications starting August 19th. If that changes, we'll be announcing it. To receive updates like that, please subscribe to our channel. But for news for right now, the plan for right now is that those cases are going to be, we will be able to submit them starting August 19th, ladies and gentlemen. And so because of that, I want to explain that program as best as we can, knowing that the final regulations have not yet been published. Is that okay for everybody? Can I get like a thumbs up? Can I get like a yes? Please explain this in the chat. If you're joining us right now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, welcome. Thank you as always. Thank you so much for being here and for tuning in to the Empowered Immigrant Live. All right? So let me walk through it, all right? June 18th was the day that this all got announced. And what they said is that as of June 17th, if you were married to a U.S. citizen, June 17th, 2024, if you were married to a U.S. citizen, and if you had 10 years of continuous physical presence in the U.S., and if you were not lawfully admitted, paroled, inspected and admitted or paroled into the U.S. to begin with, and if you're not a threat to national security, public safety, and no disqualifying criminal history, and if you merit a favorable exercise of discretion, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 requirements, then you can apply for and receive parole in place, meaning you get paroled in. You can be eligible for a work permit for a period of 3 years, and you can use that parole to apply for adjustment of status through your marriage. All right? If you meet those 5 requirements. Should I repeat those 5 requirements? Let me repeat them real quick. The 5 requirements are, if as of June 17th, 2024, you, 1, are married to a U.S. citizen. 2, you have 10 years of continuous physical presence in the United States. 3, you were not lawfully inspected, admitted, or paroled into the United States. 4, you are not a threat to the national security, public safety, and you have no disqualifying criminal history. And 5, you must merit a favorable exercise of discretion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are them, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the 5 requirements. If you meet those 5 requirements as of June 17th of 2024, then you should be allowed to apply for and receive a parole in place without having to leave, without having to go anywhere. You can stay in the United States. You're in place receiving parole. All right? Which then can be used to apply, 1, for a work permit for 3 years, and 2, for adjustment of status through your marriage to a United States citizen. Got it? Who does this help, ladies and gentlemen? Who does this help? All right? This is spouses of U.S. citizens, all right, who are otherwise eligible with those 5 requirements. That's 500,000 people. That's 500,000 people is the estimate. And children of those spouses who are unmarried and under 21 and who were not born in the U.S. Those children, there's about 50,000 of those, can also be benefited. All right? Little over 500,000 people. Okay? If you win that parole, all right, if you win that parole first, then in theory, you'll be eligible to apply for adjustment of status, a green card, without leaving the U.S. What this essentially allows is for spouses of U.S. citizens, all right, who meet those 5 criteria as of June 17th of 2024, you will not need to file an I-601A waiver to waive the fact that you were never inspected and admitted or paroled, to waive the fact that you have quote-unquote unlawful presence in the United States. If you don't need to do an I-601A waiver, that is great news for the people in this situation. Why? Because you save the cost, which I-601A waivers are not cheap. You save the processing times, which that's like a 4-year wait that you're saving. And you don't need to leave the country. You can file your case here in the U.S. This is an adjustment of status case. It's not a consular case where you've got to leave and risk everything in front of the U.S. consulate abroad. Okay? So that's awesome. That's awesome if this program gets off the ground, right? And now to get that green card, yes, you've still got to show you've got a legal and bona fide relationship with your spouse, as always. Yes, you've got to show you're admissible, as always, to get a green card. Like, you've got to still be eligible for the green card, right? Which permanent bars, false claims to citizenship, those, you know, if you've got those situations, unfortunately, you might still get paroled, but you will not be eligible for the green card. And when I say you might still get paroled, that'll depend on the regulations, which, again, are not yet public. All right? It's like they're working on it, right? So that's the status. That's where we're at. Okay? The process, right now, there is no process. The government told us originally that by the end of the summer, the regulations will come out. Well, now they've told us that by August 19th, they'll allow us to apply for this thing, but there's still no regulations. So they'd better create some regulations now pretty soon, Biden administration. Like, let's see them. We're all waiting. We're all ready. All right? Let's see them. Let's go here, right? And so as soon as those things come out, you better believe it, I'll be creating videos. I'll read those regulations line by line on YouTube if you want me to, right? It's like, let's go, all right? To see that information once it's released, you know, please subscribe to our channel, etc. That's the best way to stay in communication. Right now, we can't apply. All right? Why? Because there's no regulations. We don't even know the forms to fill out. We don't even know where to send them. We don't know what the filing fees are going to be. We don't know the process because it hasn't been published yet. And so that's important to understand. But it could come today, folks. It could come very quickly. It could come this week. Now, it's also true there's other problems that we all ought to anticipate. Okay? Like, immediately when those regulations come in, it's very possible that this whole program could face legal challenges in court. Okay? Very possible. Right? And, of course, it's possible that we prepare, do all this work, send it off to the government on August 19th, and then November comes in, you know. It's very possible that there's no decision on these cases before November or before January when a new president comes into power, you know, and it's possible that a new president could completely undo this, right? So that really politics and timing is also a problem that we would all want to anticipate, right? Like, we got to be clear about what we're doing here, right? Because we can all put our request in for this parole, and it might all lead to zero, right? It might be a lost investment It might be a waste of time and effort, all right? Or it might be the best opportunity for those 500,000 people that has come in years, all right? So there you go. There you go. All right? So, questions. If you've got questions, send them my way. I'd love to do what I can to answer your questions. Christopher Carbajal, I see you there. Thank you. Thank you for, you are often watching and you're often typing stuff in, which I really appreciate. Thank you for, your participation in my live sessions. You ask a good question. You say, hey, I have 3 voluntary returns on the border. Could I qualify for this? Well, thank you, And, the question isn't about voluntary returns at the border. The question is about the 5 criteria, all right? Which I discussed at the beginning of this. Do people want me to repeat them? Who here wants me to repeat those 5 criteria just to make sure? Because there are people that came in a little bit late. I'll go super fast through them, all right, just in case you missed it at the beginning. Parole in place is available, according to what we know so far, for people if, as of June 17th of 2024, you meet 5 criteria. What are the 5? First, you have to be married to a U.S. citizen. All right. Second, you have to have 10 years of continuous physical presence in the United States. Third, you cannot have been lawfully inspected, admitted, or paroled into the United States. All right. Because if you were, then you don't even need this. Right. You can apply for adjustment of status in theory already. Fourth, you cannot be a threat to national security, public safety, or have disqualifying criminal history, which we don't even know. There's no regulation, no clarity yet as to which criminal history will impact the parole process. And 5, you have to show you merit a favorable exercise of discretion. All right? If you meet those 5 criteria, married to a U.S. citizen, 10 years in the U.S., never lawfully inspected, admitted, or paroled, not a threat to national security, public safety, or have disqualifying crimes, and you meet a favorable exercise of discretion, those are the 5. If you met those as of June 17th, 2024, and you continue to meet them, then you should be eligible for parole in place. All right? So Christopher Carbajal, that's the question. If you're married, if you have 13 years in the U.S., and the only issue is you had 3 voluntary returns, congratulations, you should be eligible. All right? If you meet those 5 criteria, you should be eligible. Okay? Orlando Brown, I see your question there. Thank you for being here. You ask any news about changes in asylum in court. Oh my gosh, thank you for asking that question. There are constantly changes to asylum in immigration court. And so, yes, I don't want to go into it specifically right here, right now. The question for you is your case in San Francisco? Is your case in other places? Like some of the changes that are happening in the San Francisco immigration court is they've opened a new immigration court in Concord, California, which is pulling some judges and some cases away from San Francisco, which is having the effect of speeding up some cases because now there's new cases that are going to that new court. I don't know if that makes sense. They're hiring some additional judges. It's procedural changes is the most of what we're seeing, rather than like substantive legal changes to asylum law. Although substantive new changes to asylum law are happening all the time too, as new cases get decided, etc. We can go over that in more depth at a later date. But anyway, Orlando Brown, the answer is yes, there are changes. And I'm not really going through that today, but here's the thing to know. If you have an asylum case in immigration court and you meet these 5 criteria, how does that work? The information that we have from the government is that if you meet these 5 criteria for parole in place, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and meet the 5, you will be eligible to apply for this even if you're in deportation proceedings. Should I repeat that? Like, the information that we've received so far, regulations are not public, but the information we've received so far is that people will be eligible for this even if you're in deportation proceedings. Okay? And so, so that's something that you got to know. Now, you're going to want an expert to guide you, to help you figure out the best way of applying for this, if you're in deportation proceedings especially. But that's what's going on. Okay, you're in New York City, Orlando Brown, I see that. Yeah, so there's constantly changes happening in the New York Immigration Court and asylum cases in the Second Circuit, which is where New York is, constantly in flux. You know, but yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at your case if you'd like that. All right. Ali Ikram, you said yes, please repeat. I hope that you got the ones when I repeated them just now. All right. The main two, of course, are that you got to be married to a U.S. citizen and you got to have 10 years in the U.S. So what if you're not eligible for these? What if you don't meet the 5 criteria? And that's a lot of people, folks, right? There's 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States, and this program is going to benefit 500,000. So there's like 10 million plus people that are just not eligible for this. Okay? And so to really impact immigration law and the immigration situation, we need a change in the law. These presidential programs are cute, right? But they're not really fixing the problem. They're just little teeny tiny solutions to slivers of problems within our broken immigration system. And so it's like we got to push for political change, all right? And that's just not just presidency, that's Congress, all right? We need to get some of these old, stuck, crusty, needed to retire 10 years ago politicians out of Congress, and we need some people in Congress who understand immigration law and who are willing to vote on it. All right? So that's my own political beliefs. And, you know, if you're not eligible for this, hey, talk to a lawyer, talk about other options that do exist. U visas, asylum, family-based options, waiver cases, court-based options, cancellation of removal, you know, all the classic options that I'm talking about every single day that we're on this program. Check out my YouTube channel, you know. Subscribe, heck, take a moment, go to YouTube, type in Landerholm Immigration and hit the subscribe button. All right, just because you saw our video doesn't mean that you've necessarily subscribed to our channel, you know. So take a moment and do that. It's the best way to, you know, really follow what our channel is up to, and the best way for me to communicate with you about updates and news in the immigration world. All right? So what can we do now? Lawyer, what can we do now? Well, the best advice right now is to get clear about your situation. You know, if you appear eligible for this, it's like start gathering your 10 years of physical presence evidence and your marriage license and, you know, bona fides of your marriage and other discretionary documents. If you have people who might be willing to write a letter in favor of your case so you can show you merit a favorable exercise of discretion, you've got to show evidence to meet those 5 criteria. All right? And it's like whether you are eligible or not, you know, sometimes the best thing to start with is by starting to request, receive, review all of your records, determine which strategy is the best strategy for you, etc. And that's something that we can help with. We're just a phone call away to help, and we can have you go through our consultations process, and away we go. Okay? That's it. That's it. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm a little bit over time, which means I might need to record this at a later date for my Spanish following. All right? And I still want to do my empowerment tip. All right? My empowerment tip was inspired by a member of my team earlier this morning. And my empowerment tip is about trust. Okay? It's like whether you got immigration status or not, you can be successful. One of the ways to achieve success in whatever you're up to, in your job, in your life, whatever, one of the best ways to achieve success in whatever you're up to is by establishing trust, to be trustworthy. Okay? It's like the most important thing you can cultivate inside yourself, becoming a trustworthy person inside and out. Okay? And like, how do you demonstrate that? How do you like show your trustworthiness to your employer or to your clients or to the world? Right? That's a big question. I'm not going to answer all of it. Here's my short answer. Show up and keep showing up. Create content and keep creating content. Be consistent, be persistent. All right? Like keep doing it. That is what people see and they're like, "Oh, okay, you know, if you're creating video content, keep doing it." Right? If you I don't know, if you're running a business and you regularly meet people for lunch, keep doing it, grow it, invite other people to it, right? It's like the consistency, the persistence is something that we all can do, regardless of your immigration status, to cultivate trust. And when you do that, you can up-level your own potential to achieve success in whatever you're up to in your life. Okay? Keep showing up. Keep it up. Keep doing it. All right? That's kind of my trick, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here, right? I'm here every Tuesday, every Thursday. I might miss a week. My father passed away last month, and I missed a couple of weeks. Well, I'm back at it today. It's like, be consistent, be persistent, keep on keeping on. You miss a week, so what? Come back, right? It's like you do that over the course of months, weeks, years, and wow, it's like people start to trust that you know what you're talking about because you talk about it all the time. You can do that, right? And that's for everybody out there. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Thank you all so much for being here. If you are ready to go with this whole Parole in Place program, you understand it, you're ready for it, our office is starting to take appointments, all right? We are starting to take consultations about this Biden Parole in Place program, all right? Because we expect the regulations to come out this week or very, very soon, August 10th approximately. If they're taking cases starting August 19th, they got to release the regulations relatively soon. And so we're getting them ready, folks. If you want to be included in that, please give us a call. We're here to help. We'd love to help. Thank you all so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Make it a great day. Make it a great week. Make it count. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.